Hey everyone, it is Brian here from Strigler Photography. Was planning on starting this 7 minutes ago, but we all know how life is and technology is, and one computer didn't want to work and the other computer froze up, so I had to restart everything, and here I am 7 minutes later. And yeah, you know how life is. Anyway, so what we're going to be talking about today, I'm going to try and give people a few minutes to catch up and get on here. But we are talking about how to look good in your photos, how not to feel awkward, what to do with those hands, all the things that people worry about with their photos. So if just a little maintenance thing, if you can hear me, please like or comment or something so I can make sure that my audio is working. Because again, I have no idea if this microphone is working because I can't hear myself. So yeah, so we're going to be going through as many tips as I can fit in probably 20, 30 minutes because I do have other stuff I have to do. If you haven't picked it up, I do have a posing guide that covers a lot of these same things. It's in a little PDF format. I believe there's links. It's one of the first posts in the group. It's just a little link. You can download it. So you can check that out, or you can kind of go through here. I think I'm going to say some things that probably aren't in the guide. So if you're watching this, you're probably going to get some tips that other people are not going to be getting. All right, let's see if I can make this. I think I'm going to have to jump. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to have to jump back and forth to make this work. All right, some of the things we're going to talk about, some common problems with posing and not looking good, whatever. So you're not sure where to stand, how to stand, where to position yourself. The big one and one of the funniest things I hear all the time is, I don't know what to do with my hands. It's a line from Talladega Nights. If you don't know that movie, it's hilarious. But I hear that a lot because hands are really awkward. Sometimes people are unsure of where they should be looking. Should I look at you? Should I look at him? Should I look at the ground? Do I smile? Do I not smile? Do I do all this? And then the big thing, how to make it look real, how to get real emotions out of people, how to get a real smile out of someone and not this cheesy 5-year-old smile that we all still have in us. How to make people actually, have fun during their sessions or their wedding and not just dreading this whole photo process. Okay. And again, I'm going to be jumping back and forth. Looks like we got 2 people watching, so thank you guys for joining us. And I have to jump off the screen to look at the titles and slides, but I will keep coming back. So if you have questions about something, feel free to throw it out there. Or if you have tips, if you know any posing tips, then you can throw that out as well. All right. So I always tell people this. You are not the only one. Okay, almost everybody will say they aren't good at posing. They aren't good at being in photos. They don't look good. They're awkward. They're weird. I hear it all the time, and I promise you, it's not just you. So don't feel bad. Don't freak out and be like, oh, everyone else is so good at this, and no. Okay, I mean, you see people post photos, and a lot of the times they might have taken like 500 attempts at that one selfie to get it right. So, I mean, people are not naturally good at this. Most people are not. The way I look at it is posing and modeling is a skill just like any other skill. I mean, think about the first time you tried to ride your bike or the first time you tried to tie your shoes or whatever. It's something that you have to learn. Someone has to teach you and you have to practice it and you do it over and over. And then eventually you get really good at it. But at first, you are horrible. So there are things that you can learn with posing that will make you look better. Okay, I'm going to try and give you some of these tips and tricks. And again, the more you do it, the better you will get. So the more you practice this, the more natural it will come to you. It's just like literally any other skill you can learn in the world. Okay, so I do believe, and this is my personal opinion, that a lot of it falls on the photographer's shoulders. One that deals with photos every day, knows how people look, And the photographer should be the one kind of telling you what to do. So if you, I'm not going to get into the subject too much, but if you are hiring a photographer that says, I'm just a candid photographer, I am a fly on the wall, and all they're going to do is literally follow you around, then you're not going to get much guidance from them. I mean, if all they do is like literally just follow you, then you're going to be figuring all this stuff out for yourself. And there are some photographers that say that they're candid photographers, and truthfully, they say that because they're afraid of posing and they don't want to control people and they don't know what to do. Okay, so I believe a photographer should be there guiding you. Now, there is a degree of that. I don't think you should be treated like you're a robot. That means, okay, I want you to raise your hand 2 inches, and then I want you to turn your head 12 degrees. Okay, I think posing can get taken way too far. And if you treat people like robots, then it's really cold and boring, and people are going to still not enjoy it. So photographers should guide people, but not make them their own little playthings that they kind of control and tell exactly what to do. The photographer should tell you where to go and how to position yourself. So if we're in a field, he or she should say, okay, go right there, and I want you to stand like this, and I want you to stand like that. Okay, they need to be giving you some guidance, not be like, oh, I don't know where. Oh, maybe we'll, I don't know. Go stand where you want to stand, and get how you want to get, whatever makes you feel comfortable. Okay, I think they need to do more than that. Angles are a big deal. Okay. Now, it's not always going to look bad if you're shooting from a low angle, but a lot of the times if you shoot from a low angle, you're going to get some things you don't like. In general, if you shoot from someone's the same level as someone else, or even better, if you're shooting high and looking down at them, you are going to make people look a little bit more flattering. So just the photographer knowing how to position themselves and get different angles that are going to make people look better, I think that is part of their job. Okay. So if you've read my guide, this is kind of my thing I came up with. I call it distraction action. And this is kind of my philosophy on posing and how to make people have fun and look natural and not feel awkward. And I do basically 2 things. I distract, and then I make people do things like action. So the distraction side of it is basically I'm trying to take people's minds off of the fact that a camera is aimed at them and it's like, boom, boom, I'm taking photos. Oh, it's awkward, weird. So I do things to distract them. And there's lots of different things I do. But the biggest thing I do is I just like to talk to people. I really am interested in people and I want to know stuff. So a lot of times while I'm shooting, I will be talking up a storm. I'll be asking them questions. I'll be telling them stories. I'll be saying things. And guys, it's really hard to like concentrate on worried about the camera when someone's having a conversation with you. Your mind really can't do both things at once. So, I mean, if you're having a fun conversation with someone, you're not going to be thinking about, oh, they're taking my photo or, oh, whatever. So I just ask a lot of questions. I tell them things, we talk. And on the other side of that, I mean, we're getting to know each other. We're getting comfortable with each other. They know me, I know them. And so that's going to make things a little easier. And we're building a relationship. And I think with everyone, and I do this a lot, is I probe people and try and find what they're interested in. And when you can find something they're interested in, people just naturally glow and they get excited. I mean, when you start talking about something that they love, they are going to get pumped and they are going to want to talk and they're going to be happier and they're going to look, just a different way. So fun quick story about that. I was in a meeting with a couple and I've got their wedding pretty soon. And the guy felt like he was a little reserved. I mean, he wasn't giving me a negative vibe or anything, but I was just kind of probing him and asking him questions. And I don't remember what exactly I asked him, but he finally came out and told me what his passion was. He loved professional wrestling. And as soon as he got that out, I'm telling you, his demeanor, everything changed. And he just was talking and telling me all about it and everything he loved and all of his experiences. And it was a completely different environment once he told me that and once we started talking about it. So if you can make that connection with your photographer where you're talking about something you both love, something you're interested in, I promise you, guys will open up. And this is mainly for the guys. I usually use this on guys because guys in general don't like photos. Guys in general are going to be more reserved. But if I can talk to them about sports or superheroes or wrestling, they will open up and it will just change. It will change everything. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I know I've been talking for a good 10 minutes now. Nada. Okay. So yeah, just distracting them is the first thing. And then I'm going to show you some photos real quick, I think. Okay. So it's always funny. I like to say things and you'd be surprised the reactions I get. So this first photo on the left, I don't remember what I said to her, but they were doing this and I said something and obviously she thought it was funny because you can see her kind of like really laughing and cracking up about that. So she wasn't concerned about the photo or the camera. She was just laughing at what we were talking about. And then you got a beautiful photo like that. Then over on the right, I can't remember what I said to Courtney. I think I said something like, you go own that door, girl, or something. And she was just like, I don't know. You just kind of see she's got that sass in her all of a sudden. She's kind of just taking over that door, taking over the door and really owning it. And just saying stuff like that to people. I mean, it's going to make people relax. It's going to make them laugh. They're going to have a better time. So I'm always trying to distract people from the fact that there's a camera aimed at their face. Okay, no questions. I'm going to keep going. Okay, I'm just making sure. Yeah, okay, we're on the right page. Okay, here we go. So moving on to my other part of my little technique, action. If you just stand there and stare at the camera, yeah, it's going to be a little awkward and a little weird. So I give people things to do. I give them actions, things that they can physically do. Because again, if you're doing something, you're going to be distracted and you're not going to be thinking about the camera. You're going to be thinking about what you're doing. So this can range in there's so many different things you can do. I've always finding random little things to have people do. So some of the most basic ones, walking is probably the most common one. I do that in pretty much every session because hopefully everyone knows how to walk and are capable of walking. Skipping, that's a fun one. I only use that with certain people. Jumping up in the air, piggyback rides, tossing her over your shoulder. And then I have some more interesting ones that are kind of hard to explain just by the name, but like the sexy whisper is basically I tell them to whisper something in the other person's ear in the most sexy way possible. And I always pick something really random for them to whisper into their ear, which makes it even funnier. You could do like the alphabet, have them whisper the alphabet as sexy as possible. I've used like your favorite breakfast cereal. One person was like obsessed with baseball. I think the Cubs. So I had him like say his favorite Cubs player's name. So there's a lot of different things, but whispering sexy into someone's ear is always funny and it makes people laugh. The goofy touch is kind of another one. So basically you can have someone, it reminds me of like E.T. or something, where basically they're trying to touch the other person in a way to make them laugh. So it could just be like with a finger poking them, or it could be like, I'm going to use my elbow and I'm going to try and touch you. I don't know. It could be lots of different ways, but the point is you're trying to make people laugh. The giant hug is basically what it sounds like. You just wrap them up and you hug them as much as possible and you just get in there really close and tight. So again, giving people something to do is going to make things a lot easier and make people focus on what they're doing versus what's happening there. All right. Hopefully everything's working. I haven't had anyone say anything yet, so I'm guessing we're still good and people are hearing me, or someone probably would have told me otherwise. Okay. All right. So here's two examples. The one on the left is the big hug. I don't think I had him whispering anything. I think he was just like, I was like, go get her, man. Just hug her up as much as possible. And the one on the right was like kind of the toss over your shoulder thing. I was like, just pick her up and, toss her over your shoulder. And again, you get these natural smiles and natural emotions. I mean, you can't see the guy's faces on either. I mean, you can kind of see it on the left, but he's having a good time as well. But you can definitely tell the girls are enjoying it too. So that's just two examples of where I was kind of using some action to make people do something. Okay. So that's all kind of on the photographer. So you might say, well, my photographer is not very experienced. My photographer's my cousin, my photographer's a friend from high school, whatever. My photographer doesn't do things that way. If you have a photographer that kind of falls into one of those categories, don't worry. There are still things you can do on your own just to make yourself look better. So, or you can just, use this on your every photo you guys take together from now on out. Some tips to kind of help with that. Okay, moving on. So the first thing we'll talk about is in general, kind of what you're doing with your body. Good advice, don't be squishy. Don't squish things together. When you squish things, it usually expands and looks bigger than it actually is. So if you take your arm and you press it up against the side of your body, it's going to squish and look really wide. And I don't think you want to have really wide looking arms. Okay, the same thing kind of goes with your faces. If you push your heads together and you push too hard with your faces, it's going to kind of squish your face and it kind of looks weird. If you're leaning your head against his shoulder, same thing. Don't push your face in too much because it's going to squish and look funny. So you don't want that. All right, the big one. I actually made a video about this, and I think you're going to get it in an email if you're still opening my emails. All about the double chin, because people hate having double chins. It's not fun. No one likes it. So a double chin is basically squishing your neck down. So the only reason you're really having that double chin is because you're having this loose skin under your neck, and it's being kind of squished downward. The way to fix that is to stretch out that skin as much as possible. So if you turn your head, you're going to notice that skin stretches out and it's much tighter than it would be if you were like pushing your chin down. Okay. So anytime you can kind of twist your head from one direction to the other, that's going to stretch out the skin and it's going to make the skin under your neck tighter. Even if you're just looking forward, if you kind of push your chin out, kind of like a turtle coming out of the shell, that is also going to stretch that out a little bit. And then the weird one, and I didn't even put it on there, if you kind of press your tongue into the top of the roof of your mouth, that'll also pull it up a little bit. So you do those things and the double chin thing should kind of be taken care of. All right, moving on. So how to position yourself. In general, if your photographer is not telling you where to go, what to do, kind of three positions you can be in. You can be standing, you could be leaning, or you can be sitting. And again, if they're not guiding you, I would go from one of those to the next. So stand over here, lean against something, sit on something, and just kind of keep switching it up from one thing to the next. And while you're doing any of those things, you don't really want your body to be completely straight. For some reason, you just look really awkward and tense and boring if you're standing completely straight up, or even if you're sitting completely straight up. So what you want to do is create curves. So if you're standing, that means shifting your body weight onto one leg a little bit, and that's going to push your booty over to the side and also possibly drop like a shoulder down. So now you have this nice curve versus just being this tall, straight thing. Guys can do the same thing. You just probably don't want to exaggerate it as much, but just shift your weight from one leg to the other. Same thing if like, even if I'm leaning against the wall, probably bring the legs out away from the wall. So I'm not just completely standing or leaning straight against the wall. Same thing if I'm sitting, you might sit on like your right butt cheek so that you're kind of leaning one direction or the other. You just don't really want to sit completely or stand straight up if this looks funny. All right. Still no questions, but we got more people watching. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are getting close to the end. I've probably got about another 5 minutes. Maybe not even 5 minutes of stuff to talk about. But you can always watch this later if you missed anything. Okay, so if your photographer is not giving you guidance and you want to create emotions, wow, I just said create motions. It's supposed to say creating emotions on your own. Just interact with each other, interact. I mean, unless you have like a Nazi photographer who's telling you can't move or do anything on your own, feel free to interact with each other. I mean, hug each other, kiss each other, crack random jokes that the other person's going to laugh about. When the photographer isn't paying attention or something, or they've walked away, whisper something really naughty that is going to make them loosen up. Grab a butt. All those things are going to loosen people up. In general, I've already said this, and I keep saying in general, it's usually the guy who needs to be loosened up a little bit. So ladies, if you're listening, again, these things can help them loosen up and actually enjoy the session and look a lot better. So, I mean, unless you're just really against PDA and stuff and you don't want to touch them, I mean, there's other things you can still do, but do some of these things, make them crack up, make them loosen up, and they will enjoy the session much more. As far as like internally, if you visualize things, it is going to show up in your face. Our faces are really good at showing emotions. Same thing with the eyes. So what I suggest people to do is if you visualize, think of an emotion that you're trying to create in your head. The eyes will usually follow and kind of create it. So if I just say joy and you imagine joy in your head, it's going to probably show up on your face. If I say frustrated, okay, we wouldn't want to do that in a photo, but you get the idea. You think of frustration, your face is going to naturally kind of create that frustrated look. You can also pull up memories. Like I almost started laughing already. I have several memories from TV shows, from life, that I can just pull up in my head and it makes me laugh every time. Like I said, I'm trying not to laugh now, just thinking about it. So you could do that. You could think about your future. So if that gets you really happy and emotional, pull those memories up and you're going to create real emotion in yourself. And again, you can do all this on your own. I didn't put this in there, but also if you just fake laugh and you fake laugh long enough, eventually a real laugh will come. That's always a fun one. Now, the bottom one may go against what some people believe, and that's perfectly fine. I'm not saying you have to do this. If you are really just nervous and uptight and, I don't know, rigid, why don't you drink a little bit? And I said a little bit. I didn't say get drunk, but drink a little bit before you go to the session. So like have a shot, have a beer, whatever. And that will take some of the edge off and people will loosen up and they won't be as worried about things, And again, guys will probably enjoy that a lot more. Okay, let's see if anyone said anything. Hello, people. Hello. Okay. So here's kind of my conclusion to all of this, and hopefully this has been helpful. A good thing to think about is the majority of your wedding day is going to be natural, okay? Most photographers aren't going to constantly be telling you what to do on your wedding day. You're not going to have to be posed the entire wedding day. Most of the wedding day, you're just going to be going about your business, doing this, doing that, talking to people, dancing, eating, whatever. And you probably won't even notice your photographer. So if you're really stressed about posing, remember a large portion of your wedding day is not going to be posed. It's going to be you having a good time. Okay. The engagements, bridals, if you do that, those are going to be the posy times, and then the portraits during the wedding day. But again, the majority not going to be posed. So what I would also suggest is do engagements, do bridals. It gives you more time to practice, more time to be in front of the camera to do these things. You get comfortable with a photographer. You get comfortable with the way they do things, how they talk, what they say. So when the big day does show up, you are a superstar and you are ready to go. And my last little comment, don't worry, be happy. We're all pretty hard on ourselves about the way we look, but most of the time everyone else doesn't see the flaws we see and the things we see. So you're going to be judging yourself, but everyone else just sees the beautifulness in you and the beautifulness in your relationship. So in the end, don't worry, be happy with what it is. But again, you can use some of these tips and hopefully it will help you feel better about yourself and have more fun, because that's what weddings are about. They're about having fun, not being stressed out. Okay. I'm going to ask one more time. Does anyone have any questions, thoughts, feelings about this? If you've enjoyed it, like it, comment. I would love that. Trying to think when I'll be back on here. It probably won't be again till next week when I post a video or anything. I had last week off, and now I have at least the next 3 Saturdays I have weddings. And I think I have one break, and then I have one in January. But yeah, it's going to be crazy. All right. Oh yeah. So the guy that doesn't like being the center of attention. My cousin's wedding, when I shot like 6 years ago, the guy was very self-conscious. He did not like being the center of attention, which is funny because he was an Arkansas Razorback football player. So he was like on the football field with thousands of people watching him, but he was very concerned. I don't know. He just didn't like it. I think a lot of kind of what I said applies to that situation. So you know the guy better than anyone, but a big part of it is getting the photographer and the groom comfortable with each other. If they're hanging out buddy, I don't think he's going to have issues. Because a lot of the time it's going to be just like y'all and the photographer. So as long as he's cool with that, then I think that's going to take care of a lot of it. As far as the ceremony, that's going to be hard to avoid being the center of attention, because everyone's going to be looking at you. What you might do is just make the ceremony as short as possible, which I've had happen before. And I mean, as far as the reception, again, you're usually going to be dancing, doing things like that. I mean, if it's the biggest deal for him, then just cut those things out. If he doesn't want to do a dance with his mother, then I mean, if it's that big of a deal, I wouldn't force him to do it, or just make them really, really short. So you could do like a 2-minute dance between the two of you, and then make him do a 2-minute dance with his mother. And I mean, hopefully he can stand that, because that's pretty brief. I don't think that's that big of a tension. You could lower the lights so people can't see him as much. I'm trying to think of anything else as far as that goes. Really praise him for doing this for you. I mean, that's always, I mean, again, it depends on the person, but a lot of guys really like being praised. So if you're like praising him, saying, "Oh, you're making me so happy that you're doing this for me. I know that you're uncomfortable, and I know this is hard for you, but this is just something I've been dreaming of, and you're making me so happy, and I just love that you're sacrificing for me." Say stuff like that, and he'll probably put up with it. Because again, guys like that. All right. Did that answer your question? And do I have any other questions? I don't know how long the delay is before this pops up live where you can hear what I'm saying. I might just sit here and sing then. Well, while I'm waiting to see if she responds to that, again, guys, if you have topics you want me to talk about, I would love to help you guys. And you just have to kind of give me a heads up on what, like, no one commented on my post, and so I just had to come up with something that I felt we should talk about. If you want to message me with other questions you have about stuff, if you need help with things, again, I am here to help you. I want you to have a wonderful day. Oh, she said yes. Thank you. All right, super. So the delay must be like really long. Okay, so I will be back probably early, I don't know, maybe Monday or Tuesday with another video. So be thinking about anything that you're having issues with, anything you'd like me to cover. I don't know everything in the wedding world, but I can probably give you at least some advice and, kind of point you in the right direction. All right. I got to get off here. I've got to go pick up my son in a little bit. You guys have a wonderful rest of the week. I am going to be killing it on Saturday for a wonderful wedding. And I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving, and Christmas is coming up soon. I will see you guys later.